Hey everybody, it is Eric Lucas with GG Homes here in San Diego, and I wanted to do something a bit different for today's video. I wanted to share with you a mistake that I made in investing in real estate back in 2008, 2009, and I wanted to share this mistake with you because it's really haunted me over the last 10 years because I missed a great opportunity to invest in real estate in a down market. And obviously since 2010, the market's recovered and we've been in a great upcycle. However, now over the last month, there's been a lot of turmoil in the markets, and a lot of us are asking, are we ready to see the next down market? California, especially historically, is a boom-bust market. We've been roaring for a while now, but it looks like the market might be changing. So how do you invest in a down market? Well, again, I'm going to share with you a mistake that I made, and a mistake that I kind of reverse engineered to figure out the best way to invest in the next down cycle. And the cliff notes are that leverage is your friend and taking advantage of government-backed loans is your friend. So let's jump right into it. So back in 2009, I was 25 years old, and at the end of 2009, I had about $180,000 in cash to my name. It would have been a great time to put that capital to work, but I didn't do it. And I didn't do it because I thought there would be more pain ahead. Obviously, that did not happen. The market started to recover in 2010, and I sat on the sidelines as a lot of older people that I work with were smarter than me, and they had started to put their money back into real estate. One deal in particular that has absolutely haunted me over the last 10 years is I actually had an opportunity to buy 2 fourplexes, 8 total units, in 85006 in Phoenix. And I had a chance to buy those fourplexes for 50 grand a piece. So for $100,000, I could have owned 8 units, 8 doors. And I've thought that not going for this deal was a gigantic mistake for years now, but only after looking at the math have I realized that not buying these deals was actually the right decision. What I should have done was put the money elsewhere. And I know you're saying right now, what are you talking about? How could you possibly go wrong for buying 2 fourplexes at 50 grand a piece? That's crazy. That you should have done that. Well, here's the situation. These deals were both approved short sales, and yes, I could have had them for $50,000 a piece, but they needed to be completely remodeled. And at the time, I estimated it would cost about 60 grand a piece to remodel each of the fourplexes. They were all 1-bedroom, 1-bath units. Again, both fourplexes were disasters. So it would have taken actually more money to rehab them than what I would have paid for the units. So then I'd be in for $110,000 a unit. But here's the big problem. I could not get any type of conventional financing for those units in how they currently were. I either would have had to pay cash or I would have had to use hard money. So if I used hard money, at the time hard money was very expensive. They wanted you to have probably about 40 to 50% down, and they wanted 12 to 18%. And there was a lot that could go wrong with hard money really at that time, especially for me. This would have been my first project. So obviously with $180,000, I can't pay for both in cash. I could have maybe bought both for $100,000 in cash and then tried to finance the rehab with hard money. But financing that whole entire rehab with hard money in a down market, that really could have left me exposed. So okay, maybe what I do is I pay cash for 1 fourplex, right? And then I pay cash for the rehab. So that would have left me with 1 unit that I'm in for $110,000 fully rehabbed, and I still have $70,000 left to my name, which is a pretty good cushion. Well, today that same fourplex would probably be worth a little over $400,000. So $400,000 minus $110,000 that I paid would be, I would have, well, actually my equity would be, $400,000 because I would own it outright. But I'd have a profit of $290,000 for that deal. More importantly, my cash flow would be about $800 a unit times 4. I own it free and clear, so I've got $3,200 a month cash flow. Again, not bad, right? If I had done that, it wouldn't be a bad deal. $3,200 in cash flow is a very nice number, and owning a fourplex outright would be great. However, there's a better play, and that better play involves leverage. So the main reason why this deal was not a winner was because I couldn't take advantage of government-backed leverage, but government-backed loans. I would have had to use hard money, which was very expensive. So let's look at what I could have done if I had used leverage. So at the time, it was difficult to get a loan, but you still could get a loan, and you would have to put 20% down. So theoretically, what I could have done is a fully rehabbed fourplex at that time was selling for about $180,000. It actually would have been a better play for me to buy three units, three fourplexes at $180,000. That would have been 20% down payments on each unit, which would be $36,000 each, times 3 would mean $108,000 total down for a rent-ready fourplex. So if I bought 3 of those fourplexes, I'd have 12 units, and my total cash flow would be about $9,600 gross. Now, of course, I would still have $72,000 left, right? Because $180,000 in cash minus what I put down would leave me with about 72 grand. Still a nice cushion. But now, because I use leverage, I control more units, right? Here I got 70 grand left. Here I've got 72, but a big difference in the amount of real estate I can control. So even though I paid 180 for this instead of 50, because I used leverage and I bought a unit that would qualify for leverage, I did way better. So today, what would I be looking at if I had done that? Well, again, these fourplexes are probably worth about $400,000 a piece. Times 3 is $1.2 million in total real estate controlled, minus my loans, which would be about $432, would be $768 in equity. So again, a much better play, right? Compare my equity here to my equity here, and also compare my cash flow here to my cash flow here. So I guess side note too, right? My gross cash flow is $9,600, but the mortgages on these would be about $650 each, so about $2 grand a month. So my net cash flow would be about $7,600 before, of course, expenses. So we can already see that leverage is the better play. But there was even yet a better play that I could have done, and that was to, rather than invest in a multifamily, possibly invest in single-family homes or even townhomes. And I know people are saying, townhomes, what? Well, townhomes can be great cash flow, right? So back in 2009, 2010, there were some 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhomes in 85282 that could be had for $60,000. And it's crazy to think about today, but 60 grand for a townhome near Arizona State University in 85282. And this would have been the smarter play. And here's why. So once again, I can take advantage of government-backed financing, right? Fannie, Freddie, FHA, 20% down. So $60,000 with 20% down is $12K down. 12,000 down times 8 is 96,000 total down. That would leave me with 84,000 cash left. So I've got more cash left by doing this method if I'm investing back in 2009, 2010. The mortgage on a $48,000 mortgage, the payment on that would be about $220 PITI. Now, back in 2010, these probably wouldn't have rented for $1,200 a month, these units, but I still would have cash flowed. And today they would easily rent for $1,200 a month, and that's not even for a rehab unit. That's for a unit that just is kind of, rent ready. So what am I looking at here? Well, I'm looking at $9,600 gross rent, $7,840 net rent after you take out the payments, which is actually very similar to these numbers here, right? But here's the kicker. I wouldn't want to live in 85006, and I definitely wouldn't want to live in a fourplex, especially a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit in a fourplex. But I would live in 85282. I would live in these townhomes, especially if they were fully remodeled, because this is a much nicer area. So now these units are going for about $200,000, not even rehab. That's $200,000 for a unit that actually needs some work. So if I had 8 of these, I would control $1.6 million in total real estate. And my total equity, if you subtract the mortgages, so $200,000 minus $48,000 mortgage, here's the price, right? $200,000 is what they're currently worth. Minus a $48,000 mortgage is $152,000 in equity per unit. That would be a little over $1.2 million in total real estate controlled. So you can see here from this example that taking advantage in a down market and buying some real estate in a better area and using government-backed financing is definitely the way to go. So leverage for sure. Either of these options would be great, but this is even better. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, Eric, how would you get 8 townhomes? It'd be a lot easier just to buy 3 fourplexes, right? Well, it's true. I would have had to put a lot more work into getting 8 of these townhomes, but if I had started in 2010 and gone through 2011, 2012, maybe even 2013, it would have definitely have been possible to do that. So a little bit harder, but these were also plentiful. I mean, this unit right here, this deal, this was a special deal. I only had the opportunity to buy this because I was in somebody's inner circle. These were rotting on the MLS, so you could pick these up all day long. Now, another question you might say is, hey, Eric, well, why townhomes? Why not buy single-family homes? Could you buy a single-family home for $60,000 in Phoenix back in 2009? Yeah, you could, but you know what? Those needed a lot of work, and they weren't in the best areas. And a lot of those homes that sold for $60,000 back then, they're probably only worth about $180,000 today. And they also probably would have required more rehab. So, for me, looking back at the numbers, looking back at what happened, buying a townhome in a better area that didn't need much work for 60 grand was probably a better buy than buying a detached 3-2 in West Phoenix that's, needed more work to be rent ready. And I probably would get better tenants here too. So I would actually go ahead and venture out that, these particular deals that I'm referencing, a few of the units were off of Baseline Lane in 85282. These were probably better buys than some single-family homes in West Phoenix, especially in some of the rougher areas like Maryvale. I think either one you're going to do okay, but I think these are fine. So last but not least, the point that I will make is, great, this is a great example of what I did wrong in Arizona and what I should have done. What about California? And really, I think the same lessons apply, right? When it comes time to invest, if you invest in, and you use leverage to buy some entry-level properties here in San Diego, and you take advantage of, again, government-backed financing, you're not going to go wrong. Could you buy some units in City Heights or the Barrio? Yeah. Could you maybe also buy some townhomes in Chula Vista? Yeah. And you're going to do fine either way, but you just kind of have to decide and maybe look at what's the better deal. So either one of them is going to work, but more than a few ways to get over $1 million in equity and build wealth from real estate. But this does kill me though. Looking at the opportunity that I had back then to be sitting on all this cash flow and all this equity and not do it. But if we are in a down market though, I know what to do differently, and now hopefully some of you do. So anyway, this video is a little bit, of a different video than I usually do, but I wanted to share my mistake that I reverse engineered. This is what I learned from it, and hopefully if we do have a down market, we can all make the most of it as investors by, coming out of it and taking advantage of the down market to build wealth. So anyway, Eric Lucas here with GG Homes, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. And of course, if you've got an off-market fixer here in San Diego or Phoenix, give me a call, 858-276-0713. That's it for now, and take care.